Please be seated. The season of Lent begins on Ash Wednesday, when we remember that we are dust, and to dust we shall return. Then we are to reflect throughout Lent what this means to us. What does this have to do with Good Friday? It is the idea that God humbled himself and took on human form. Christ took on our dust, and eventually on the cross this day, our dirt, our sin. He took it on for us so that we might have eternal life. The question then begs to be asked, does Good Friday ever end? Do we ever stop giving him more and more dusty, dirty sin? The answer is no. He took those nails, and it seems like they are hammered deeper and deeper into the cross every time we sin. However, there is a reason we call it Good Friday, and that will come soon enough. The purpose of our leaving last night in silence was to simulate what the disciples were feeling after Jesus' arrest. They must have been horrified and confused, wondering what in the world their leader was doing, allowing himself to be arrested. They didn't know the full story like we do, so I think for once we can give them a break. Without Jesus, they were hopeless. Have you ever felt hopeless? Have you ever felt that things were not going to get better? That the good was gone? That the bad had won? I suspect that during this last year, many have had moments like that. Whether it was during COVID or maybe during the freeze. You were confined, stuck at home with your family, or perhaps you were confined, stuck at home alone. The grocery was out of food. The grocery was out of essential items. It was dangerous to go out, possibly deadly. You were in charge of your fate and the fate of those confined with you. There was no leader. It's a lot of pressure. What did you do when you felt that weight? Where did you get hope? I must say that during the freeze, I was so grateful to the folks from whom I got texts. I knew that while I was physically alone, I was not truly alone. We all communicated. We checked on one another. We often got the texts of, I just got power. And then not too long after, and I just lost power again. Or, I'm going to the car to heat up and charge my phone. Most of you went through it. You know what it was like. But we lifted each other up. We provoked one another to love and good deeds. We encouraged one another. If that sounds familiar, it should. That was in the Hebrews reading this morning. The point of the Hebrews reading is our holding fast to hope and using that hope to be able to help others when things get difficult. The good in Good Friday is that we have this hope that we are no longer stuck in our sin. Not only that, but we don't have to be stuck in despair and confusion any longer. It's about hope. Good Friday is having faith and holding on to hope in the midst of the darkness. Hope is what Good Friday forces us to have in the midst of the darkness. It shows us that even the worst stories can have a happy ending. Good Friday gives the story of humanity a happy ending. God remembers our sin no more. Because of Jesus, we can approach God with hearts in full assurance of faith. Our hearts have been sprinkled clean. Our hearts have been sprinkled clean. What an image. In the Hebrews reading, we see that we are expected to hold fast to the confession of our hope without wavering. That is what Jesus does for us. The cup is not removed from Jesus. He must die on the cross due to our sinfulness. And if the story stopped there, this would definitely not be a day called Good Friday. As a matter of fact, it probably would not be a day remembered for much of anything at all. The reason we remember this day and even gather is because of the Sunday event, the glorious resurrection. Without the empty tomb, we would all truly be lost. Remember this: Christ's cross will never fade away. Eternal love was shown at Calvary. Incomprehensible as it may seem, the incarnate man died for you and for me.